Hey, I'm Remy. I'm Managing Director of FutureDeluxe. So FutureDeluxe, we're an experimental creative studio. We're based in London, Los Angeles, and Sydney. I'm based in Sydney, but we kind of act as a global studio. We create, we do a lot of 3D work essentially, but the way that what we talk about the work we do is we craft aspiration for future-facing brands. When we say that, the kind of brands that we work with, they themselves tend to be future-facing, as in they want to create work which feels like it's never been seen before, never been done before, and they tend to gravitate towards us because the type of work that we do itself, is future-facing. We always have this. We have this philosophy of always creating work which just we've never seen before ourselves, and of course by default then our clients and their consumers haven't seen it either.
So my name is Matthew Hopkins, and I studied the digital media course at Billy Blue, which started off as the year-long diploma of just general digital media. And then after the first year, I decided to go back and do the next 2 years of 3D animation.
Just raw talent, because there's something about the work he came up with and the way he presented that it kind of shone through and popped out as like, wow, this guy's got a lot of raw talent. But I think there were some other things. One of them that really kind of stood out was the use of references and style references up front to sort of show, before we got into his work, what had inspired his thinking and where he saw the work going. So there's a kind of references of lighting and texturing and style that he wanted to influence his work, which is always like, for our artists internally, that's the perfect starting point as well. Look around you to see what else is out there that might inspire where you want to go yourself. The way that he presented his work had a lot of storytelling to it, in terms of it wasn't just a dump of here's all the work I've been doing. He took us through the thinking and the way that he'd been on his journey. And I seem to remember there was also this chart that you showed, Matt, that had this kind of experimentation loop, this kind of like endless, always returning back to experiment some more, which, funny enough, is something that we all kind of talk about and practice, but hadn't ever put down on a chart. So seeing Matt pull that together was like, yeah, that's what we do. Like it was great.
I think the initial response was, there was one brief that kind of stood out to me. It was the kind of combination of natural and man-made. I remember wanting to do something related to kind of putting natural stuff in unnatural situations and then just playing with the contrast between as many different kind of natural and unnatural things as I could.
On the work itself, there was a nice mix of like well-rendered, like beautifully lit and textured kind of 3D elements, like the rocks and that kind of thing, but with this graphic design style over the top of it. So it's that mix of mediums, really, of like, it wasn't just pure VFX, perfect photorealistic renders, but it had a real design aesthetic to it that came from a graphic design background, I guess. And it's the mix and blend of those two worlds which creates something very eye-catching and different, which kind of, I guess, looking back on it, was one of the key things that really appealed to us. XLabs.
I wanted to make it like the rock was a patient, like a mixture between the rock being a patient and the rock being experimented on as if it were a person. So kind of putting the rock on the bed where a person would be, but then having all this kind of weird, just random stuff around it that kind of related to a hospital room, but kind of didn't. I think I just wanted to create some sort of weird leaf floating in a water pool that didn't just float, but kind of like had its own forces guiding it. So it would kind of come out of the water and go back into the water, but not just be floating on top of the water as if it was kind of just like a normal leaf. This one was supposed to be kind of like an intermediate. Like initially it was all supposed to be one long video, so they would kind of cut from one to another. So the rock one was supposed to be like a kind of intermediate shot between one of the shots and another one of the shots where they're getting transported from one place to another. This one was, I like used the laser a few times to kind of guide different objects, and then I ended up putting a soft body on, like a squishy simulation, on the log and had the laser move over it as if the laser kind of triggered some sort of wiggle. I wanted to have the light be the cause for that wiggle, so as the light goes over it, the thing kind of moves and wiggles around. That one was actually my favorite, I think. That one, I found all these old like Soviet test equipment images on Pinterest, and then just started taking a few of them, and then went into Photoshop and just pieced them together in a couple different ways, and then used that and tried to make some sort of, I don't even know what the device was supposed to be originally. It was just using these different images, and so I used the kind of different placement and the knobs to guide the cactus within inside of it. I also brought in the light back into it. It was supposed to be like the rock lifts up and goes into this thing, and then something happens within this light box, and then it either gets transported or deforms in some way, or material changes.
Anyway, you could tell he was a rising star, and I think also then, to layer on top of that, I talked a bit just before about our values, and I think his style, in terms of being chilled, laid back, but also humble in in his approach to his own work, that fits with who we are at FutureDeluxe. We're not big chest beaters. We've never taken on an intern before, and through our partnership with Billy Blue, we kind of saw an opportunity to change that and bring on our first intern. And I think Matt, for all the reasons I was saying, great talent, but also great fit for us. We thought like this feels like our opportunity. So I think we didn't really hesitate much or waste much time before asking if he'd be interested in coming to do 6 months with us. And our hope is that 6 months will turn into more. So and see how it goes.
I got super emotional. I started crying on the phone. It took me like 15 minutes to like compose myself after that call. But yeah, it was one of the happiest moments ever I can honestly think to. I can't think of a happier, just more excited like finding out about something than that.
I can definitely see a long career from that in the industry, and I think whether that's at FutureDeluxe or elsewhere, he's got that design aesthetic. He's very considered about the work, but also on top of that has the technical skills. And for us, that's what we're looking for, and that's what all of our, the other top studios of the world are looking for, is that blend of design and technical.